Are you struggling to copy files from your Jenkins pipeline to a remote server using SSH? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into how to use SSH in a Jenkins pipeline and solve this common issue. I totally get it. It can be incredibly frustrating when your builds are ready, but you can't transfer them due to SSH issues. Many users face this challenge, especially when working with Docker containers. Let's look at a specific case. One user asked, "How do I copy a zip file from my Jenkins pipeline to another server using SSH?" They mentioned that they have a Jenkins job that builds NPM projects using Docker, but they hit a wall when trying to establish an SSH connection. So what's the issue here? The user has their private key set up in Jenkins, but when using Docker, the SSH connection fails. This is a common problem due to the isolated environment of Docker containers. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to authorize your remote host and successfully transfer files using SSH. To begin resolving the user's issue, we need to ensure that the remote host is authorized for SSH connections. The user should add the remote host's SSH key to the known hosts file. Next, the user should verify that the private key is correctly configured in Jenkins. This involves checking the credentials manager to ensure the private key is properly set up. Now the user should modify the Jenkins pipeline script to ensure that the SSH agent is properly utilized during the file transfer process. This can be done by wrapping the SCP command with the SSH agent. Finally, the user should run the Jenkins job again to test the SSH connection and file transfer. If everything is set up correctly, the zip file should be copied to the remote server without issues. Fun fact, did you know that SSH stands for Secure Shell? It's a protocol that allows you to securely connect to remote servers. Pretty cool, right? Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by a user is to manually add the remote host to the known hosts. First, switch to the Jenkins user on the Jenkins host using the command sudo su jenkins. Then, attempt to SSH into the target server using SSH username at server. You will see a prompt asking if you want to continue connecting. Type yes to permanently add the server as a known host. After this, you can cancel the process and try running your Jenkins job again. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative approach shared by another user involves using the SSH agent plugin. They emphasize the need to use personal UID credentials on the remote machine as it lacks a Jenkins account. The user explains that the ID for the SSH credentials is generated in the Jenkins Credentials Manager. They created a global domain credentials entry with the type SSH username with private key. Here's a pro tip. Always verify your SSH keys and known hosts before running your pipeline. This can save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. You should now be able to copy files from your Jenkins pipeline to a remote server using SSH. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.